Hey y'all, welcome to the Amateur Therapy Podcast where we keep it real and aim to heal. I'm your host, Sydney J, and today we're talking all about forgiveness. Let's get into the episode. Hey y'all, how are we doing today? I laugh because this is like my 7th time attempting to record this episode. So I really need y'all's strength today. I need your presence and power with me. And I know by the time you listen to this, I'll already be in the past recording this. But I receive your power now, even though it lives in a future time. But anyways, I hope that y'all are well and blessed. And I'm super tired, but I'm here as a promise to be a vessel to the mission that this is. So this is a safe and sacred place that I want to continue being dedicated to being here for us and for us to be motivated and improved and just to have something to tune into that tunes us out of the chaos of the world and of our internal world. So today we're going to be talking about forgiveness, very heavy or light topic depending on your perspective. And if you haven't seen already, the title of this episode is Finding Freedom in Forgiveness. So I really have a lot that I want to share with y'all, and some of it's going to be a little personal. A lot of it's going to be research. I did a lot of research on this topic, and because I love science, so the science kid. So did some research, and then I would just want to share some thoughts on forgiveness that I have, and maybe some tips that you can use and implement in your life and in your practices so that you may be empowered, that you may be healed, and that you may just feel like you're living a fulfilling and whole life without any grudges or extra dark weight in your life. So yeah, we're going to talk about forgiveness, both for ourselves and for others. So I feel like this is a real struggle for many. And at one point, it was a very strong challenge for myself to forgive myself and to forgive others. But I learned that forgiveness really is a self-loving practice, and it's a humanity-based practice. So I chose to use the tool of forgiveness, and I decided that I want to be a person with relentless forgiveness, and that decision really has changed my heart so much. So I'm going to stop rambling, and we're going to get into some facts. We're going to get into some research, y'all. We're going to put some facts in your face. So I did some research, like I said, on this topic, and I want to share some findings from a particular article that I found. I read some different articles from different universities. I read some from University of Pennsylvania, Johns Hopkins, and a bunch of other different places, but I chose the one from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine because it's pretty digestible, it's easy to read, and I really wanted to make sure that whatever resources I use or references I have, that it's accessible as accessible as possible to everyone who listens. So I'll make sure that I leave that link in the episode description, and I really encourage you to take some time to give it a quick read. It was no more than 3 minutes for me, so I would say maximum 5 minutes for the average reader. So yeah, Johns Hopkins, they published this article discussing some findings about forgiveness and lack of forgiveness and how that may impact your health. So some of the findings that were discussed were that the lack of forgiveness can cause detrimental health complications. So some of them that they listed were increased risk for depression, heart disease, and diabetes. It can create changes in your heart rate and your blood pressure, and overall, just ultimately, it can cause bad changes in your mood. And the reason for this is because unforgiveness houses grudges, and grudges are a form of chronic anger, and that chronic anger is what causes continuous flight or fight responses. And when you have continued fight or flight responses, sorry, that's a tricky one for me to say. But if you have continued flight or fight responses, that can result in small, consistent changes in your heart rate and your blood pressure and mood, which ultimately begin to affect your overall health, leading to those more serious health complications and conditions like diabetes and depression that was mentioned previously. A more positive finding was that they found that practicing forgiveness can reap really great benefits for your health such as lowering the risk of heart attacks, improving cholesterol levels in sleep, reducing pain, reducing blood pressure, and levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. And basically, forgiveness reduces stress levels, and it can keep the body in a calm state, which will lead to an overall improved health state. So that's great. We want that. And just disclaimer, I'm reading bullet points from my notes so I can try to remember all the points that they made. So yeah, bear with me if I sound a little stale. But they also say that, there are some people that are more naturally forgiving. So they provided some tips and recommendations for those who might have a little bit of challenge with that process of forgiveness, whether it's for themselves or for others. They gave some tips, but before I get into those tips, I'm realizing that we're talking a lot about forgiveness, and I think that I should provide their definition that they added in the discussion, and I will also provide my own definition for the sake of this podcast so that we're all on the same plane and level, because I know that in our world, words can have so many ambiguous meanings and just to other people. So John Hopkins defined forgiveness as an active process in which you make a conscious decision to let go of negative feelings, whether the person deserves it or not. And I really like that definition. And my simple definition is just that forgiveness is the allowing space for growth, humanness, and atonement. So while we're talking about this topic, just continue to have those definitions in mind for the sake of this conversation. So those are those definitions. And I also want to say, I know that forgiveness is not always the easiest process. It can be really challenging sometimes. So I don't want you to feel like I'm just talking at you and saying like, oh, use these tips from Johns Hopkins and they'll fix your life and they'll make you a forgiver. And it's not that simple. Like, seriously, I've really, if I can get personal and vulnerable with y'all really quick, I really have had some messed up things happen in my life and have been part of messed up things that have happened in others' lives. Like, my family was abandoned by my father. I've been sexually assaulted twice in my life. I've witnessed abuse of loved ones. I've myself has been physically and emotionally abused by people I've lived with. I've been stolen from. I've been lied to. I've been lied on. I've lied to people and hurt people too, which I had to forgive myself from. So, like, I'm just letting you guys know that this is not me just talking at you. Like, this is a process I even had to endure myself. I had to undergo this process as well. So me going through those things and many, many others that I haven't listed, like, I want y'all to know that this is a process that you can go through too. And it'll be challenging, but it's possible. Anything is possible. So I really use those things to heal. So I just had to say that. My heart was pulled to say that because I'm just hoping that your heart is open to have today's talk. But anyways, sorry. Back to the steps of forgiving. I'm pretty much gonna paraphrase and read again from those bullet notes that I had from the article. So, paraphrasing, they say to number one, reflect and remember the event, or person or thing. That's my own little added flair. Remember the event or the person or thing. So in doing this, it's pretty much that you need to think about how you felt and how it has affected you ever since. Number two is to empathize with that person. So think what could have caused them to act this way and try to understand a deeper reason or deeper reasons for actions that were made against you. Number three is to forgive deeply. So this is recommending basically don't just say that you forgive them, like really dig deep and let it go from your heart, because it gives you a better chance at healing. And this can give space for a clean slate for the relationship if with that person, if that's something that you desire. Number four was let go of expectations. Letting go of expectations of how people are supposed to act or how their apology should be. And when you let go of those expectations, you are in a position to avoid disappointment. Their next one, number five, is decide to forgive. So like I said earlier, we all have a choice in forgiveness and choosing to forgive ourselves or others. So you also have an active role in the choice to hold hurt or anger, or you have the choice to free it and to, with that free space, make room for empathy and love and all these other great nurturing, healing emotions and practices in your life. And their final tip was to forgive yourself. And just know that whatever someone does is not a reflection of you or your worth. And they recommend that you need to forgive yourself for anything that you may have done unto others or yourself. And just to let go of the weight of shame, hate, grudges, or guilt. And I know those were very brief, but like I said, I'm going to provide the article. And they are a lot of steps. There's 6 steps, but the thing about steps is that they can be taken one step at a time, right? So if this is a practice that you really would like to implement into your life, the practice of forgiveness, and you begin this process, just don't rush it. Don't rush the process. Practice and make progress as best as you can. And just know that everything heals in time, and just take it one step at a time. Like if there's forgiveness that you need for yourself or for somebody else and you're moving towards a space like, I don't want to hold on to this pain anymore. I don't want to hold on to this hurt or this anger. I don't want to hold on to what they did to me or what they said to me or what they said about me. And there's somebody who's going to be listening who's been holding on to a lifelong grudge. Someone hurt you deeply. Someone took from you, not physically, but emotionally. They took safety from you. They took feelings of love from you, and you have heart in your heart. So you have the space and you have the power and the choice to make a decision to say, I want to let that go. I want to receive peace and I want to forgive. So know that this is a thing of personal power and self-love, because you're not going to be holding on to suffering anymore. You're going to let it go when you decide to find that freedom in forgiveness, because freedom can be found in forgiveness once you let go of those things that are weighing you down in life. Sorry, I went up on a little tangent. I feel like the power that I ask from y'all, I feel it right now. So yeah, everything heals with time. So from that article, from the things I pulled from that article, I hope that you'll learn something, but we're not done yet. I want to share my own tips and some of my thoughts. I wrote some of them down. Just thoughts on forgiveness, and some I've put into practice. Some are just some beliefs that I have that really just keep my heart light, full of light especially. So I'll just list them, no particular order. I'll just look at my notes. So forgive even if the person has no remorse. I think for me, this one was very difficult because how could you hurt me intentionally or for your own selfish desire and have no remorse? You are consciously being a dark person, and I don't think that I don't think that I could wrap my mind around that. But it's freeing when you just forgive the person and let go of it, because when you're holding on to the pain and the damage and the hurt that that person had put on you by the actions or the words that they spoke, it's just dead weight, because this person doesn't care anymore. And we have to realize that forgiveness really is ultimately for ourselves, for our own healing. So forgive even if the person has no remorse. Forgive for your own peace of mind. Forgive because what you do unto others will be done unto you. And I don't say that to scare anyone or to guilt trip anyone into forgiveness, but if you were in a scenario where you hurt someone deeply, I feel like you'd most likely be hoping for grace to be extended to you. So just, don't guilt yourself. Just think of how you'd want to be treated. Also forgive even when it's hard. It's most likely always going to be hard because we're the hurt person. And sometimes we're the person who hurt others, and it can be hard to forgive ourselves sometimes, because it's like, wait, how could I be capable of doing this type of damage to someone who I loved or who I met or anything? Like, we don't like to be categorized as monstrous or pain givers or anything negative, but it happens sometimes because we're not perfect. So forgive even when it's hard. Here's some more thoughts. Forgiveness is a tool for humanity. I think that, like I said, none of us are perfect, and I don't think that we should really strive for perfection, but continue to walk on a path of potential that we have and to be our best selves when we can. But there's always going to be human error, and that's not to say that people should be willingly awful people. But people should be more intentional about their actions, their thoughts, their words, and have good intentions behind that, because you can be intentional but still want bad things or non-idealistic things for other people's lives and to wish ruin on people. But the hope is that all of you who do tune in are here to grow and to reflect, to heal, and to just be transparent with yourself. So yeah, just know that forgiveness is a tool for humanity. When you forgive, it extends compassion and empathy, and that is part of humanness and humanity. Forgiveness is a seal of protection. I believe this because I believe that forgiveness is something that can protect you from hardening your heart. And it can protect you from being filled with hatred and anger. And when you don't forgive, I've noticed that a lot of times people become just like the person who hurt them. Whether they repeat those painful actions that were done onto them, or whether they start to have the same characteristics or thought patterns or lifestyle as them, they start to replicate the very hate and the very pain that they were put through into other people's lives. And so we need to protect ourselves from repeating toxic patterns and repeating trauma and dragging that into our relationships in future. And I don't like to bring in politics or religion or anything, but I am a faith-filled person. So for me, I forgive because that is the heart of my Creator. I'm forgiven for a lot, and I have been forgiven for a lot that sometimes I was like, I don't deserve anyone's empathy or forgiveness. I feel like the worst thing I've done is like lied very badly to someone. and hurt myself. And I felt like I should never have been forgiven for that. But here we are, healed and forgiven, both by myself, by my creator, and by that person. So I'm grateful and have so much gratitude for grace and empathy and compassion, and just space for atonement and space for me to be human. And I don't know why this talk has been a little bit tough, but I just feel so much right now on this topic. I did not even plan to talk about forgiveness today. I did not even plan to have an episode, at least not now, not for this episode, to talk about forgiveness. I had a completely different outline, a completely different idea, and in the middle of the week when I started like making sure, like filling in my schedule to record on my podcast on Wednesday, which that didn't even happen. Things kept coming up. But I didn't plan for it. I had a completely different outline, and all of a sudden I had this drop to like kind of like dawned on me, like, talk about forgiveness. And I was like, all right, what exactly about forgiveness? And I just went with it. So here we are. I don't know if I told y'all this at the beginning, but this is like my 7th time trying to record this episode, and I'm exhausted thinking about heavy hearts and thinking about this topic and thinking about the struggles that I've had with forgiveness and overcoming, and just tired in general because it's kind of late at night. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else because I'm dedicated to being here for us. I don't feel like there is enough space taken up for transparent spaces and safe spaces for people, young people like myself, but also women, women of color. I am a Black woman, and I need this space, and I know that others need this space. So thank you for being here. I'm sorry. On the topic of forgiveness, please forgive me if you were expecting light and bubbly Sydney and very energetic and happy Sydney. And that's not to say that I'm not happy in this moment. I'm happy to be here, but I have a bit of a somber tone in the moment that is now, because I don't know, I just feel like I can feel other people present with me as far as we're talking about the weight of grudges and forgiveness and stuff. So it's just, I don't know. But anyways, I really am thankful that you tuned in, and this, I really hope that it has blessed you or encouraged you in some sort of capacity. So with that being said, if you listened all the way to the end, you're a real one, and I love you so hard. I'll be back next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, with some more amateur therapy. Remember to keep it real and aim to heal.